to help. Like I said, this is a resource for families. It will be shared with um, our YouTube channel under Family Care Council FCC Area 1, so that parents who aren't able to make it can at least link into that at that time. If you have personal needs or personal needs for resources, please connect with me through the comments, so that it's not part of the recording thing, and we can find ways to help you and get you the help that you might be looking for. Mr. Brad, I'm out of breath, so please welcome and tell us about disability rights. What do you guys do?
Well, thank you. Disability rights has been around for a long time. We were formerly known as the Advocacy Center. We changed our name some years ago to Disability Rights Florida. We are the protection and advocacy agency for the state of Florida. We're funded by federal grants. Each of the states has a protection and advocacy agency that helps hold the states accountable for how they treat people with disabilities. So we cover all disabilities, not just the people with developmental disabilities. We have a team of lawyers that help people with their rights issues and fair hearing requests, and also with some big litigation issues with the states. We also have a team of advocates that are also investigators that help with client-specific issues with accessing care, Medicaid eligibility, and a host of others. We have several teams in our organization. One of them is an investigations team that investigate complaints at places like Florida State Hospital, APDs, developmental services institutions, group homes, assisted living facilities, and nursing homes. They spend a lot of time with the forensics folks, with helping make sure that they're getting their rights protected in those facilities and institutions. We also have a Social Security team that works exclusively with Social Security issues, and they have special access permission to be able to assist people with issues related to the representative payees, and making sure that their benefits are being managed appropriately. I don't have a full formal presentation on disability rights prepared for this morning, so I'd be interested in entertaining your questions and what areas you'd like to learn a little bit more about Disability Rights Florida. I will tell you that I was a support coordinator here in the Panhandle for 30 years. And so I spent a lot of time with APD issues in my role now here with Disability Rights Florida, consumer-directed care problems with, the monthly budgets, if those are not calculated correctly, or corrective action plans and problems with getting those implemented correctly, things of that sort.
There's certainly a lot out there. But what do you see? Things are constantly changing, especially with Medicaid in the state of Florida. What are you seeing coming across, disability rights as some of the issues that our families might be facing with Medicaid and benefits in that direction?
Well, one of the newest issues is ACA recently sent out, I think it was ACA, it may have been DCF, sent out a letter to inform people on the waiver program of something that's called working peoples for people with disabilities. And this is new legislation that was passed several years ago that allowed people to work and earn higher incomes that would enable them to maintain their waiver services. Florida is one of the states that did not do what's called the Medicaid buy-in, which allowed people with a little bit higher incomes that wouldn't normally qualify for Medicaid to be eligible for Medicaid. The Florida legislature did agree that people on our waiver program that are able to work but would make more than would be eligible under waiver Medicaid, but they need their waiver services in order to maintain their independence. So this carve out allowed those individuals to continue to work and make a living wage and still maintain their Medicaid benefits. So we're seeing now that this letter has come out that there's some confusion out there about this program and what the real benefits are. It's not a ruse. It's not a trick. It's a real program, and it is helping people earn higher wages and still maintain their waiver services that they need. So that's what's going on there. DCF is still having problems with properly making people eligible through protected Medicaid. And those cases are, for instance, if you had Social Security SSI as a child and that continued once your parents get SSDI or go on Social Security, then as an adult, you would have your Medicare and Medicaid under a different program. That's considered DAC, Disabled Adult Child Program. And when you are in that category, you are put on or supposed to be put on protected Medicaid. DCF has not been properly determining the eligibility under that program, and they're putting them on share of cost instead or some other Medicaid program, which is causing huge disruptions for the programs like the iBudget waiver. You can't be on share of cost and be on the iBudget waiver. So we're having to get a lot of those issues addressed because DCF has not been doing those correctly.
That would be a big concern.
Yeah, it is. The other big issue that's going on right now that we're concerned about, this is big picture, is the Texas versus Kennedy lawsuit that is involving the Section 504. One of the things that has helped our people move and stay out of institutions is something called the Olmstead ruling. That was a landmark federal case where two individuals that were in an institution that had both mental illness and developmental disability, for those two individuals to move from the institution into the community and to have community-based services. That was a landmark decision, and the Department of Justice has been active with helping support the Olmstead ruling since that time. What's happened this year is the Department of Justice has issued a statement, declaration. I'm not sure the official title of what this thing is called, but it's a document that said that they were essentially not going to be enforcing Olmstead in the future with the states. And the Kennedy versus the Texas versus Kennedy lawsuit is also attacking the 504 provisions for integration. Basically, it's a states versus federal argument, and the states are saying the feds, you can't tell us how to run our stuff in our state. So it's a states' rights issue with how it's being framed in this lawsuit. But it affects all of our individuals, and we need the legislation and the rulings to uphold integration, and that it's a mandate and it's required and it's essential for community living. We have a social media campaign and letter writing campaign going on right now. You can log on to our website at disabilityrightsflorida.org, and you can find a link on there to sign your name on the letter. We've collected, the last count is, I don't know, in a week's time, we had over 500 signatures. So a pretty good response, and we're going to be giving this. There were originally 17 states that joined the Texas versus Kennedy lawsuit. All of the states have withdrawn except for Florida, Texas, and Alaska. And we want Florida to also withdraw from that lawsuit. And so this letter and petition is to let our governor and our attorney general know that we want them to withdraw from this lawsuit.
Our governor hasn't necessarily been very pro disability, in my opinion. Sorry, my opinion. Wasn't the Olmsted Act part of the founding foundation for creating home and community-based services such as the waiver program in Florida? Didn't that help get a lot of people? We closed the institutions and got people out living and working in the community. Wasn't that the basis of that?
Well, the Olmsted certainly set a lot of precedent for that. There was some movement already underway, promoted by the ADA, and back during when John F. Kennedy was a senator, and he went to the institution in New York, and when he left there, he said it was a snake pit. It was so horrible. And that's what really started the beginning of funding for community-based service programs. There were block grants originally, but as you know, it's taken a lot of effort and a lot of court cases to try to enforce ADA. And that's part of what Olmsted ruling was. That was a federal class action lawsuit where the right to integration was upheld and enforced. And so the Department of Justice has been using the Olmsted ruling since then to help hold the states accountable for getting people out of institutions and supporting them in the community. We are concerned, obviously, with this lawsuit, Texas versus Kennedy, that it may undermine that critical principle of integration.
We can only, yeah, I know, it can be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at doing a letter writing campaign and other type of things for that.
Correct.
And the best way to access your website is how?
disabilityrightsflorida.org.
Wonderful.
Yep, there's lots of information on our website, lots of training materials as well. Some of our public policy initiatives that we're going to be undergoing. One of them is that we are making some changes to this consumer-directed care program.
Okay.
So let's talk about that just a little bit. The consumer-directed care program in Florida is a good program that promotes self-determination. It allows people to use their waiver services budget to use non-traditional providers and non-traditional services if they want to. So you would have the choice under the CDC program to use traditional providers, like here we have ARC Gateway, we've got Capstone, we've got Horizons, we've got lots of personal support providers. So you could use those people if you want to for your services, but you may want to do something like equestrian therapy, go to the camp, um, use a relative to provide your direct care instead of a stranger coming in your house. So the consumer-directed care has a lot of benefits for individuals. One of the things that we have found that limits the number of people that can participate in this program is that one is there is a shortage of support consultants. You're required to have a support consultant, which is your support coordinator that goes through additional training and certification to become a consultant. We don't have enough consultants in this area, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that.
I know
We
from my side,
also
we're in
yes.
the same spot with that. Ben finally got onto the waiver, and we wanted to do CDC plus because finding someone that mom would trust is really, really difficult. Not to mention they live way out in the middle of nowhere. So that was one of the programs that mom or a family member could get paid for helping to care for Ben. But finding that we went through 4 different waiver support coordinators so far, and because nobody's sticking around.
Yep. So the other issue that we have found is that when you're on the CDC, you're required to have a person that volunteers to be a representative. That representative handles all the employer-related functions. So you have to know how to calculate how much to hold back in someone's wages for Social Security and Medicare, FICA, the payroll taxes. You have to report the payroll every 2 weeks, track the timesheets. You have to enter the payroll in the electronic portal that APD has created for the CDC consumers. You have to manage your monthly budget. You have to maintain a roster of employers through the background screening clearinghouse. And so a lot of people find the program too complicated and too hard for them to do it as a volunteer. These are not payroll specialists. They're not human resource specialists. So they're moms and dads that may not have ever run a business. So they don't. So it's a very steep learning curve. It's amazing to me that we have as many people on the program that we do, given how complex it is today. It started out much simpler. And as time has moved on, it's become very complex. So we have a lot of people in Florida that can't participate in this program, but would like to, and they would benefit from it because of those two problems, the lack of support consultants, as well as the complexity of the volunteer representative job. So what we've proposed is that APD add a support broker service to the CDC program, and that support broker then would be paid to do the employer-related functions required currently by the representative. They're not going to be doing the functions that the support consultants already have to do. These will be responsibilities that the representatives are required to do, but they struggle with and they need additional support. Quite frankly, a lot of the representatives have been getting by because the support consultants, out of the goodness of their heart, have taken on the extra work to do some of that work for them. And they're not supposed to be doing that. In fact, they are specifically prohibited from doing it in the rule and in the agreement with the consultants and the representatives. But I guess a lot of them are compassionate consultants, and they do it out of the goodness of their heart, but it comes at a cost. And it's a workload issue, and just a lot of people are not able to take on that extra workload. And so we have a shortage of consultants in Florida.
There's a tremendous amount of paperwork involved, and like I said, knowledge. Just trying to get through the background clearinghouse for things is can almost need a degree just in that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
really glad to
there's
hear about that.
flexibility. The states have quite a bit of latitude with how they implement these programs. We've looked at how the CDC or consumer-directed waiver programs work in other states, and we've picked some of those options from those other states and have applied it to our proposal. And I think it's a real improvement in the program. We're getting good responses from everybody except the state office. So that's where we need the help.
What can we do to help support that?
Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate the question. So I have 6 pages of contact information from people around the state that have said that they support this, and they have provided us information. We call them exemplars, which would be your story, basically. So if you would like to send me your story of how you think a support broker would help you with the CDC program, we could put that in there and help support that. But it'll also be when it comes time to us talking with the House and the Senate about this, of you contacting your House and Senators to Florida and ask for them to support this initiative.
Got it. Cool. Does anybody have questions for Brad? Anybody? Ellen?
I might have missed this at some point, but so if someone has a complaint or concern, how could you go over like what the process is to initiate that with you guys?
Sure. We have the best way to ask for help from Disability Rights Florida is to go to our website and to do an online request for assistance. We do take telephone calls, but our folks are slammed on the telephone. So you may have to be on hold for a while. You may have to call back several times. We're doing the best we can to manage. As you can imagine, we get calls about people in institutions and forensic facilities and the county jails and Baker Act facilities, people with Medicaid eligibility issues because DCF has messed something up, voter registration problems and not having accommodations at the voting precincts. We have Social Security issues with eligibility or representative pay issues, and Department of Education. Anytime that a parent is up against the wall with the school system on the IEP. So you can imagine covering all disabilities and all possible imaginable problems related to getting your services and rights in Florida. That's a lot of phone calls that we get. So it's a very busy unit, and so it's much better to do it online. And we have right now about 900 individuals that we're trying to respond to that have logged in and requested for assistance. That's the number today that we're trying to get to.
So that's my next question is like, is there like a time frame if someone files a complaint that you guys have to respond, or do you just kind of go on a waiting list?
So it's not really a waiting list. We get to you just as fast as we can get to. So it depends on the request and what the issue is. The first thing that we do is we give you information and referral. It depends on what your request and what your issue is. But we also provide you with lots of other resources that you may not have thought of that relates to your issue. And so we try to, if providing them information and self-advocacy information is sufficient to get them over the hump to know how to solve the problem, then that's what we provide. If they need to be assigned to an advocate such as myself, then the intake team staffs it with our director to see if this is a case that that we would take for either advocacy assistance, investigation, or to be assigned to an attorney to assist. So I can't tell you how long that process takes. I know that it's frustrating when you're trying to call in and try to get a live person. That's why we recommend people use the online system. We're able to handle a higher volume of people that way. But some people just can't, so they need to call, and that's why we still maintain the live phones.
Sorry, I asked the hard questions. Sorry, are you are like a local representative? So if someone just had a question in general before they reach out to say like, hey, is this something that your organization would do? Can they reach out to you, or it just needs to go straight through the website?
People call me all the time,
Okay.
but if you have a case that you need something more than just a quick answer to something, then you'll need to go through our intake and to be assigned someone to provide assistance to you. I'm not a local representative. We all work remotely. I have clients in Miami, in Fort Lauderdale, in Orlando. So I just happen to live in Pensacola.
Okay. Is there anything that you guys do not do, like that you're like, hey, this is not just off the top of your head? Like, if you have this issue, it's not something that we like. Do you guys ever get like a lot of complaints and then it's not something your organization does, or you direct them to someone else?
We get those calls all the time. Thanks to artificial intelligence, they think we do a lot more than we actually do. So it's driving people to us for help with things that we don't help with. So we're having to deal with that a little bit. It's interesting new development that we're experiencing. So the things that we don't do. So if you have want to file a claim against someone and get a settlement because you did not have your rights met for whatever reason you're violated, we don't do those kinds of actions. That would be a private attorney. We don't provide legal defense work. If you've been charged with a crime, we're not defense attorneys. So those cases, obviously we don't take. Other than that, I can't be more specific.
Oh, that was really helpful. Thank you.
You bet.
I have a thanks to disability rights. Back when with Ben going through the school system's recommendation was to actually put him in an institution in Atlanta, Georgia. We flipped our wig. Ben had some communication issues, disability rights we staffed the case with them, and they were able to come in and to the IEP meetings on via conference call. But it took a lot of staffing with them, a lot of information sharing. But they actually did step up, and we were represented by disability rights, and it made a huge difference because we won the case. The school system was mandated to put additional, they had to think outside the box. They had to create some new supports for Ben. And they actually stepped up with, we couldn't have done that without disability rights in Florida. So we really appreciate what you guys do out there. Is there any other questions out there? Well, Mr. Brad, please, like I said, let us know what we can do to help you. We are on Facebook, so if you want to become a member of that, so we can help push out information
You
to
bet.
some of the issues that we talked about, please do that. We're here to support you, and because you're supporting us in different ways. We really, really appreciate what you're doing. And thank you for for your time
You're
today.
quite welcome. Well, we are all in this together. So it's mutual support completely. And I'm really glad to see the Area 1 Family Care Council getting reactivated. You folks are a critical, vital voice for folks with disabilities in the Panhandle, and you're needed desperately. And so we're here for you to provide you resources and access. So please reach out if you have any of those needs. It's not just it's the policy, it's the individual's rights, it's the access to care, understanding the programs. We have a grant that we're working on right now. I didn't mention this earlier. It's the Violence Against Women's Act grant, where we're developing training and outreach programs for people with disabilities that have been victims of sexual abuse. And so we've developed some just kind of beginning understanding videos to help people understand their rights for their bodies and how to handle your relationship with your personal support provider, for instance, as a way of helping people understand how to set boundaries as a way of prevention of possible sexual abuse. So there's lots of things that we get into, and looking forward to collaborating with you. And I appreciate the invitation to be able to be here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Brad also does text messaging, though, if you have a question for him. Brad, if you could, if you could get your cell phone number in the chat, in
Sure.
case somebody has a question for that. Like I said, you do. I like the way that you're available also through text messaging.
Yep.
That can be helpful.
Yeah, I'll put my email address in here also.
That would be great. So, check out the Disability Rights website. They are a significant resource for families and individuals in Florida. You have to remember that when a person with a disability becomes 18 and they actually get in trouble by the law, they're treated just as any individual is, and that can get real sticky. So there's other programs out there that they can fall through the cracks with. So we really appreciate disability rights and the other things that they do. Any last questions for them before we sum everything up? This is your chance.
No, just thank you for coming today. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. And I'm sorry for the sign-on issue. I learned how to join a Teams meeting with just a code and a password. How about that?
I did too. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
I did too. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. You betcha. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. We're going to stop recording for now.